think you have something to say regarding this.
Well, when we left the trading world on Friday afternoon, the forecast, we have to go back and remember what the forecast was for. This was for an eastern Gulf of Mexico hit, passing close to, or very close to Apalachicola, maybe close to Pensacola, along that area, but definitely not a significant threat to any of the oil platforms, so a lot of the markets were acting that way. Friday afternoon, and this was a continuation from the last few runs of the European model, the European from Thursday, 0Z run, 12Z Thursday, and the 0Z Friday run had all showed a significant westward shift and a threat towards New Orleans. And that really picked up on the early morning, the 1 a.m., 2 a.m. European run, and then at the 2 o'clock Friday afternoon on the European website, where you can get the early look at the European. It's got the good 500 graphics, but the surface features stuck. And you could see where the position of Katrina was, and the European was really banging the drum for a westward shift. So right now, clearly the European has been the most right in terms of the medium-range global models of the shift, the track out that is far into the Central Gulf. It's been started showing it really on Thursday and really kicked it in on last Friday. So as a result, what happened is on Friday, I came out with a statement Friday afternoon right before the close around 2 o'clock. The European had come out at 2:03 Eastern Time. The market closed at 2:15. I said, hey, the European's continuing this trend. We could be looking at a significantly different problem here if this trend, because it means that it's going to be further out into hotter and warmer water and take a longer time before it reaches land again. So we could be looking at a much more significant hurricane, and one that would be a real problem Sunday night for the platforms. And that was my last statement here on Friday afternoon, issued at 2:05 Friday afternoon, and that's worked out to be quite the statement. I'd never anticipated seeing anything quite like this, but that as a result, when the trading opens up this evening on the energy market, there could be a major move up here. A Cat of 5 going through the platforms like this is just a catastrophe in terms of the prices in the trading. And, sometimes these surprises, if you remember a couple of years ago, we had a big hurricane in the Gulf that developed rapidly overnight. And then as it approached the coast, I think it was in 2000, was it the 2003 hurricane season? As it approached the coast, it ran into upwelling from another hurricane which had preceded it. And even though it had shot up to Category 4 status for like 6 or 10 hours, and they was doing that in the afternoon, the price of gas took off. And then when the evening trade resumed that night, the had already started falling, and by the morning hours, it had weakened to a Category 2. So sometimes that weird stuff happens. In this case, it's happened for the increasing side, not the decreasing side of things. And I suspect we'll see a significant reaction this evening in the energy markets, no doubt about it.
And all that, of course, is going to get reflected down the road. This, as far as I suppose the idea is with your forecast, if they followed that and had a chance to make some moves Friday afternoon before it closed, they might have fared better than most. Is that right? Because it does sound like you did a very good job of mentioning that in there, and of course it's all of that and more. Yeah, so how are your customers think? How are they going to turn out with something like that?
Well, they're going to make enough money for hookers for days. I mean, we're talking big money here. If they hedged and they decided to go, well, this trend is kind of significant and the risk is only great money. If they decided to do that, then they made a lot of money. Because remember, the consensus forecast was for it to be in the far eastern Gulf, which was not a threat to the platforms. So if that forecast verified and you decided to buy natural gas long, gambling that it might go further west, and it did not. Let's say the consensus forecast from last Friday was correct, and let's say that Katrina was heading towards Apalachicola. You would not lose anything because that's expected. It was not be surprising. So you buy a couple, didn't go as far west as we thought under this hypothetical. So the only way you could, this is a few situations here where if you make your move right before the close and go for the alternate or out-of-the-box thinking scenario, you would make a lot of money on this. And that's one of the things I specialize in. People, that's one of the reasons why energy traders and ag traders like me, because I like to go for the out-of-the-box scenario. What happens if, it turns out that the rain doesn't come in? What happens if there's more snow? What happens if there's less snow? This sort of stuff. So in this particular situation, the way to go, consensus forecast, you couldn't lose any money. So if you decided, okay, I'll gamble it, maybe DT's right, maybe this European model, which has done pretty good with hurricanes, is going to be correct, so it might pose a threat. So I'll buy a couple of natural gas contracts and see what happens. If that's the case, tonight you may end up paying for your kid's college education and a new car and a new house.
All right, that's a good sign. That's what I like to hear. A little positive note there. Somebody's going to make some money. Of course, they'll probably end up donating it back to FEMA or Red Cross or someone else to help with the recovery as well, most likely in certain cases at least. But yeah, they've got plenty of it to do. Congratulations on that, DT. That is a good news to hear. Things are going to turn out for your customers, and I think you did a well job there. I hope you're right actually about your forecast track and in certain respects, that is, and in the intensity forecast, I'd like to see it actually get down there to be a minimal 5 again. I'd like to see that happen. Kevin, you had some more comments you wanted to make. You want to go ahead and pass some of that information on here?
Anyone can if they want to, but I just posted it. It's interesting. The U.S. Navy holds a very significant presence in New Orleans, and they're attempting to moor the ships away from the city as soon as possible. But interestingly, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, just simply facilities in the world, and it produces the external fuel tanks for the space shuttles. And they're saying that if that's the future flights affect the world, I mean, the International Space Station's up there without anyone to get supplies. 0.8 million people in and around New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and the Biloxi, Mobile area that could potentially need to be evacuated immediately because they're in very low-lying areas or below sea level in New Orleans' case. But I just thought that was interesting.
That one, another one of the repercussions is going to be far and wide for this system. That can be very disappointing for the people up there in the space shuttle, and there's just a lot of bad things coming out of this. I wish there was more good stuff here. There is supposedly an advisory coming out soon. No, actually not. It's going to be out at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, so that'll be out a little ways yet. We're just looking for some updated information here for us to pass on. Once again, the winds are rising up along the coast. The waters are rising. Some pretty good waves just off the coast. Heck, they're already almost 20-foot waves just south, and tropical storm conditions just about 65 miles south of Alabama there. So got some pretty impressive system here. I just don't have a whole lot more to really add in that regard. This is pretty catastrophic. I think the president spoke, but it might have been recorded. I haven't heard that yet, and we were going to try to pass some of that information on, but really don't have anything in particular to add to that. Dave, is there any more that you wanted to add right now? If not, I think what we're going to do is take a quick break, and
Now, just a couple of points. I don't know if anybody's posted any slosh maps, the storm surge maps to see what those conditions will be like. I know Fox News is showing the slosh maps right now. So if we could get anybody has any links about where they're out there. I know the public information. I know it's not a government secret. At least it has. At least I don't think it is. So that might be good to break. Somebody had that. Now, I'm still looking for the last recon. What was the last recon anybody had on this?
It was 907, 25 miles. I don't have it looking in front of me right here. As a matter of fact, there was an interesting note that they referred to in that. I should look that up before we go, but no, I don't, DT. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I see. It's the 1521Z. Z. Yeah, I see. 1521Z, which was 11 a.m. this morning, 11:20 this morning. That was the 907, and the maximum flight level was 166 knots. Yeah, I see that. Well, I'll tell you, the difference between the temperatures outside the eye wall, 7 Celsius, and 27 Celsius is just amazing. This is just one ass-kicking heat engine here.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We were talking about that it happens to be this path it's taken to is over some pretty deep water for there, and there's just the energy is at depth compared to